That's a clown question, bro.
Hi, what's up on you?
So I'm gonna kick some dirt.
He gets on base.
Just a bit outside.
I'm not the type of player that's going to be Johnny Hustle.
If you don't want me to watch the ball, you can go get it out of the ocean.
And welcome to the show to be named later, where we're talking baseball kind of whenever. I am your host, Chris Gianta. The other voice on the podcast is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, I am doing great. We had some great games. We had some sort of anticlimactic performances in the clutch, but that's okay. We'll get into that. And I'm very, very excited for the series that we got coming up in the division series, literally the division series.
Yeah, it is weird. I know that there were 8 playoff series, but I feel like the real playoffs, like the real matchups that we wanted to see are happening now. Like Reds Braves, we were very excited about, and they put up some pretty good games, especially game 1, pure pitcher's duel. But, you got 4 interdivisional matchups. It's pretty insane. And they go 5 games. So, nothing's going to end immediately.
Very abruptly like that.
Yeah. It's not going to be 2 games and you're out. You're going to have to win 3. And sweeping in 3 games is a lot harder than sweeping in 2 games, obviously. So that'll be very fun.
That's right.
So, I guess we could start by talking about maybe the most disappointing team performance of the playoffs, and maybe the most disappointing team performance in the playoffs that we've seen in a very long time. I feel, at least in the way that they lost.
Yeah, the Minnesota Twins. This is a team that we both had Twins into without even like a discussion. Like this,
yeah, it wasn't a doubt in my mind.
They were playing a 29-31 in the regular season team. There was no reason they should have lost. Especially in the way that they did it. 2 runs overall in the whole series. That cannot happen. The 9th inning of game 1, when you have, first of all, Sergio Romo being out there, already a questionable move. Obviously, his stuff was moving pretty well, but he had a 6.32 ERA, I believe it was, over his previous 13 appearances before that. And you had Matt Whistler sitting in the bullpen with a 1.05 ERA. And then you have Jorge Polanco making that bad throw to Luis Arias that would have gotten them out of the inning. It's still tied. That can't happen. The Twins just on all fronts were terrible.
Yeah, they were absolutely awful. They could barely score against it's Zach Greinke, but also he came into that. He was one of my slightly alarming statistics. In his previous 7 starts, had a 5.73 ERA, and the Twins are known for their offense, and they couldn't muster anything together against him or Framber Valdez, who is a guy that doesn't have a lot of experience. And, Valdez is someone you should score at least 1 run off of in 5 innings. We're unable to do that. And a suggestion that I made, the next 2 times that they should be suspended from playoff play. And by that, I mean the next 2 times that they have a good enough record to get in the playoffs, they should not be allowed in. They should have their playoff privileges revoked until they've learned from their mistakes. Their actions have a lot of consequences.
You mean like all 18 of their mistakes that they've made the last 18 times they've played in the playoffs? Okay, just so we're clear. Yeah, the Twins have lost 18 straight postseason games. I believe that is a record over of all time over the 4 professional sports, the 4 major sports.
Yeah, it's insane. And you couldn't even pull out the Yankees thing either. It wasn't against the Yankees this time. It was against a 29-31 Astros team that didn't have Justin Verlander, and also a team that they were significantly worse offensively this season.
Such a strange decline.
Yeah, a weird year for the Astros, but they had an offensive decline. Bregman, Correa, Springer,
Altuve specifically.
Altuve definitely all declined a little bit. A team, you figure a team, that's the core from your 2017 team, and they were unable to produce this year. It was weird. Michael Brantley did pretty well, but everyone else,
yeah, no,
not great.
Strange, awfully strange.
And and the Twins lost against this team.
It wasn't even competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess game 1 was competitive until the 9th. You know, it was a 1-1 game. Kenta Maeda, I'll give him all the credit. He went out there and shoved. I believe he went 5 shutout innings in game 1. So, I mean, he did a very good job. Barrios started in game 2. He did pretty well in that game as well. I think most of those runs were also in the 9th inning. Let me just check. But I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I mean, the Twins starting pitching, I mean, that wasn't the problem. It was just they couldn't, get timely hits. They couldn't, the bullpen wasn't being effective. I mean, they just folded in every way possible in that series.
Yeah, it was very disappointing. I thought this was the year that the Twins are finally gonna win a playoff series. We made fun of the Twins because we thought they were gonna face the Yankees, and we were like, it sucks that they're gonna lose. They're gonna get swept by the Yankees, and it won't be even close. And then like when it turned out they were facing the Astros, we were pretty excited about it.
We were thinking, hey, if they get the Yankees, it'll be in the ALCS. They'll get past the first 2 rounds. No, they didn't win a single game, actually. And Jose Barrios, he went 5 innings and 1 earned run. So he did his part.
Yes.
The offense just couldn't do theirs at all against guys like Jose Urquidy, guys like Christian Javier, Brooks Raley also pitched 2/3 of an inning, and Ryan Presley in that game 2. And obviously it was Framber Valdez who picked up the win in game 1 and did a very good job there. But yeah.
Yeah, it's extremely disappointing from the Minnesota Twins. I don't know what has to change for them to win a playoff game. They changed the team. It didn't matter.
They're probably not going to have Nelson Cruz next year, who was one of the 2 guys. He drove in every run for them that series. He drove in both runs for them that series.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, everyone. Okay, in the starting lineup from game 2, he had he had an 1167 OPS. The next best was Marwin Gonzalez with a 533. That is unacceptable. That cannot happen.
Yeah, it just a complete no show from most
the Bomba squad.
From that Twins offense. Extremely disappointing.
Also, Alex Kirilloff made his major league debut.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That was cool.
Josh Donaldson was out with a calf injury, and they called up Alex Kirilloff, who, where does he rank? He was the number 2 Twins prospect behind Royce Lewis, and he's top 20 overall. Yeah, top 20 overall. So that was a pretty big deal.
And he got a hit to give it to his credit. He did a good job there. I'm not necessarily blaming this on him, but I mean, guys like Arias did not get a hit in the series. Kepler didn't get a hit in the series. Rosario didn't get a hit in the series. I mean, so many guys that Jorge Polanco and 1 for 7. I mean, a lot of guys just did not perform the way they should have.
Yeah, it was extremely disappointing.
Nelson Cruz, and he's going to be probably gone next year. I don't see why he should stay on this team if that's going to happen every year.
Yeah, especially when you did your part like that. You don't like seeing that from the Twins. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird because they won competitive games in the regular season. They had good games against the Indians. They had good games against the White Sox. But I mean, hey, who knows? The Central bubble was 0-7.
That's right.
In the postseason.
If you pick a Central team, you did very bad.
Yeah, we should talk about that later. But we're gonna go series by series, and then maybe we'll talk about the Central because it was fascinating to me.
Do you have a final statement on the Minnesota Twins?
I mean, they have a very talented team. I don't know. It's just they should have they have the offense clearly.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's only because they're in the AL Central. I mean, they had a good season last year.
They had a 100-win season last year.
They had a good season last year when they didn't just face the Central. I know they disproportionately faced the AL Central, but it wasn't all the Central.
Fully, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe they're pumped up a little bit by the competition they face. But I don't know. Maybe you add more to the offense. I'm not sure.
I will give credit where credit's due. Like I said, to Kenta Maeda, he broke out this season and put it all together for really the first time in his career. And I guess it is only 60 games, so it could be a little bloated. But nonetheless, I'm really excited to see what he can do in the future. I think that was a very good trade for the Twins to just sneak in and get him in the Mookie Betts deal.
Yeah, and they probably faced criticism at first because they did give up Brusdar Graterol pretty much straight up for Kenta Maeda, and they faced some criticism for that. And
I think that looks a lot better now.
It looks a lot better now.
Yeah.
Now that they have Kenta Maeda, who had like a 2.5 ERA.
Yeah.
And did well against the Astros. So the next American League series we will be talking about the Tampa Bay Rays, the 1 seed from the American League, looking like the 1 seed from the American League, sweeping the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah. This will not, talking about the series will not be like condemning the Blue Jays the same way we just did with the Twins. I think they have a very talented roster, and I think they should keep their heads up because they're only going to get better going forward. But I mean, yeah, the Rays did what they were supposed to do in this series. The pitching was excellent on all fronts. They only allowed 3 runs all series. They had clutch hitting. They had a grand slam from Hunter Renfroe in Game 2. Blake Snell only gave up 1 hit over 5 1/3, I believe it was. Everyone, I mean, Randy Arozarena, I mean, can we talk about that guy? 500, hit 500, had a 4-hit game in Game 2 with a 1556 OPS. He did an excellent job. Manny Margot, Hunter Renfroe, Mike Zunino in a home run, Mike Barrasso, all those guys hit really well. And that's kind of how the Rays are. Like, they don't have the one like superstar caliber, just put him on first no matter what every time type of guy. But they have a bunch of guys that'll just come through for you when they need the most. And that's how they are going to win the World Series if that does happen.
Yeah, the Rays looked very good. They looked like they're following through on what they've done in the regular season. The Blue Jays, yeah, they're an up-and-coming team. I guess I was a little, disappointed from Hyunjin Ryu a little bit. I know he gave up 4 unearned runs. He gave up 3 earned runs. And I'm looking at Savant, and not every hit he gave up was, hammered, but still, I didn't like seeing that from Ryu. But, historically he's been pretty good in the postseason, so it shouldn't be a worry for the next 3 years of his deal. He was very good this year as well. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of what we expected. I guess I didn't fully expect that. I had them in 3. Daniel had this exactly correct at Rays in 2.
I didn't nail this one.
And yeah, the Rays look very good, and are they favorites against the Yankees?
I would guess. I mean, I think it's a lot closer than people realize. Even though you look at the season series, you see the Rays did win 8 out of 10. I would guess the Rays are probably favored.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas is weird because the Yankees will probably get more people will probably bet on the Yankees.
Because of the Yankees?
Yeah, so betting odds might not be the best indicator. Rays, Yankees betting odds.
Yeah, the Yankees are favored.
Yeah, Yankees are favored in this series, but that's probably because of
it's very close. It's
nature.
It's minus 150.
Yeah, they're minus 150, and the nature of Vegas,
We'll get into that series later on.
Yeah, but like the nature of Vegas, more people know who the Yankees are, so more people are going to bet on the Yankees.
I was going to say, if you asked like a common average baseball fan to name 5 Yankees and name 5 Rays, you're going to get 5 Yankees much quicker.
Yeah, exactly. And if you were to ask a casual fan like who's the better team, the Yankees or Rays, they'd probably say the Yankees. A casual fan.
And I don't think that's an outrageous thing to say. Like, I do think the Yankees. I'm not saying the Yankees don't have a chance in this series. They absolutely do, and I don't think I'd be the least bit surprised if they do win because of how hot they've been, and also the fact that a lot of their games against the Rays this season they weren't completely healthy. For some of them they didn't have Judge. For most of them they didn't have Stanton. For a lot, or some of them didn't. They might not have had LeMahieu. They had guys missing for a lot of the year, and that was tough. But I mean, the Rays have such a deep pitching staff. I mean, 3 of their key pitchers from this year went down with Tommy John surgery. That is Yanni Chirinos, Chaz Rowe, and Andrew Kittredge. All of them got Tommy John surgery, and they still marched on like nothing happened.
Yeah, and one thing that plays into the Rays' Rays hands.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was trying to say. One thing that plays into the Rays' hands as well is they will be in a bubble with no fans.
Which is what they're used to.
Yeah, which
They
is
don't
what
have to play at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, they don't have to play at Yankee Stadium, which is huge, especially with a young team like the Rays. It's huge that they're not exposed to, that crazy Bronx crowd, and that plays into their advantage. But we'll get into the preview later on. But anything more on the Rays Blue Jays series?
I think I said it all in the beginning. Blue Jays fans, don't hang your heads. This team is going to be very good going forward, and this is only the start. Obviously you did sort of sneak into that postseason spot with the 8th seed, but there's no shame in losing to Tampa.
Yeah, Blue Jays, by the way, not the favorites, but could make talks maybe in the Trevor Bauer sweepstakes. I don't know.
They could.
I mean, I feel like a lot of teams will get into the sweepstakes, but there are some clear favorites. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, the Blue Jays are probably a free agent or two away, but before becoming.
And they're a Nate
maybe
Pearson and a Nate Pearson development away.
Yes, a Nate Pearson development away, and a Vladdy Jr. development away.
Yeah, that's big. That's something I'm going to be looking for next year. Can Vladdy Jr. develop further? Because we haven't really. I mean, he was the most hyped prospect most people have ever seen when he came up.
Yeah, since at least Bryce Harper.
And yeah.
Like
it was him and it was Shohei Ohtani. Like that in the same sentence for hype before they got up. We haven't really seen it from him yet. His OPS has been hovering in like the mid to low 700s ever since he came up. 791 this year, not horrible, but I think we all want to see more of that. We want to see it up into the high 8s, maybe low 9s.
Yes, for sure. Especially as a guy who isn't known for defense. It's all offense from Vladdy Jr.
Yeah,
at least from what we've seen. So yeah, Rays, Blue Jays, kind of what we expected in terms of Rays winning, and they've kind of established themselves as a legit postseason threat because outside of the wild card game, they haven't won a legit postseason series in a very long time. They didn't win one in 2013, and before that, they went in 2010.
Yeah, the Rays, this is their first postseason series win since 08.
Since 08, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So legitimizing themselves for sure.
I mean, I guess they won the wild card game last year.
Yeah, they've won some wild card games.
This is the wild card series.
But this is the first series, I guess you could say.
Yes.
That they have won since 2008. Now we get into one of the more, I guess one of them was an exciting game, and this was probably maybe number 2 on our list for most exciting series prediction-wise. What we predicted would be probably the second most exciting series. We probably had Reds Braves ahead of them, but Yankees Indians, a very, very interesting series. The most obvious thing you can talk about is Shane Bieber,
which is what I was going to lead with.
Yes, Shane Bieber gives up 7 runs to the Yankees in his first postseason start ever, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what was that, Shane? What was that, like 3 2/3 innings, 7 earned runs from him?
4 2/3.
4 2/3. 4 2/3, 7 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, and 9 hits, 2 home runs. That cannot happen. That cannot happen at all. I mean, when you're the guy, a pitching Triple Crown winner, a unanimous Cy Young who's probably going to get MVP votes, like first place MVP votes, you cannot do that against anybody. I don't care how good the Yankees offense is. I don't care if Garrett Cole is striking out the entire world under his $324 million contract. That cannot happen ever.
Yeah, it was quite abominable. For me, it's interesting because it makes you think about the Indians trading some of their veteran presence at in the starting rotation, and it makes you think like maybe starting a veteran in the playoffs, like an established guy who's pitched in the playoffs before, would have been a better move if they had those guys. But Shane Bieber,
I mean, nobody in baseball was
Yeah.
better than Shane Bieber this year.
Yeah,
That's your guy.
yeah. And, it was tough to see. I don't know what it was. I guess, bad location.
His fastball was getting destroyed. Like if
Yeah.
you go back and watch his outing, his off speed and his breaking stuff, he was getting swings and misses, and none of that was the problem. Virtually every big hit that the Yankees had were all fastballs. I don't know if he just couldn't locate. I don't know if he didn't have the velocity. I don't know what the deal was, but his fastball was miserable that night.
Yeah, and his fastball, I don't think he had a lot of movement. I think he throws a two seam, I believe, and I don't think he was featuring that much. It was the four seam that was just getting hit very, very hard by the Yankees, and it was tough. And then game two was something else.
It was wild. Well, I mean, first of all, the Indians get off to a 4-0 lead in the first inning after the rain delay. And, there was a lot of talk about postseason Tanaka in his career going into this game. And obviously he didn't perform very well. 4 innings pitched, 6 earned runs, 3 walks, and only 3 strikeouts. And I'll be honest, I'm going to let this one slide. There was a lot of bad weather. Like, first of all, that game should not have started when it did.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were watching, but it was just pouring, and they literally stopped it after like 15 minutes of play. So, I mean, that game should not have even started. So, Tanaka obviously had to deal with some tough circumstances. So, I will give him a pass on this start, and I'll probably still be talking about his postseason success at the beginning of next series against Tampa. But, I mean, the bullpen looked pretty good other than Zach Britton. He did give up a run. Aaron Boone questionably bringing out Jonathan Loaizaga. I don't know. I don't think I agreed with that at all. And he gave up what was the go-ahead run, which didn't matter in the end. But yeah, this was such a crazy game. I guess we'll start out with, Indians get a 4-0 lead. And then in the second, Stanton hits a bomb to make it 4-1. And then it kind of stays stagnant for a while. But then in the fourth, Carrasco gets himself into some trouble. He allows a triple to Aaron Hicks. He then walks Luke Voigt and Stanton to bring up Gio Urshela. And then James Karinchak comes in, and on a 3-2 pitch, he puts a fastball right on the corner. Perfect location. Still gets served up for a home run. I mean, you could have, I can't even blame Karinchak. Like, it was not a bad pitch at all. Gio just had an unbelievable piece of hitting on that one. And that obviously put the Yankees up 5-4. And it went back and forth for a while. Jose Ramirez drove in 2 runs on a double to make it 6-6 later on. And then in the next inning, Gary Sanchez hit a wind-assisted home run. Did you see the home run that he hit?
Yeah, I saw it after.
When that went off the bat, Chris, I looked at it and I was like, all right, that's 1 out. That's the first out of the inning. And then it just got out. And even Vasgersian was yelling at the broadcast like, Alex, did you think that was getting off the bat? Because I sure did not. And yeah, like that one should not have gotten out, but the wind just carried it. So no juice ball excuses there. That was, some luck from the weather there to make it 8-6 Yankees. And then in the 8th, Jordan Luplow pinch hit for the red hot Josh Naylor, who had a great series, and hit a 2-run double. And then in the 9th, in the 8th, Cesar Hernandez hit a go-ahead bloop off of Chapman. And then in the 9th, Brad Hand was miserable. He walked Giancarlo Stanton, gave up a 0-2 single to Urshela on a pitch that was not even in the zone. So, I mean, Urshela just had some crazy good hand-eye coordination in that series. I mean, good for him. Like, he just bested each pitcher that he faced in that game. And then Glaber singled on a weak ground ball to the pitcher. He struck out Gardner. Sanchez hit a sac fly to tie it. And DJ LeMahieu hit a single to give the Yankees a lead. And they did not look back, mostly because Austin Hedges came up as the final out.
Yeah, it was an incredible game. Definitely a classic. I was saying, in the time of the next pandemic, whenever that hits, I will be watching Yankees Indians game 2 of the wild card series.
That's right.
From 2020. Whenever that happens, and I need a baseball fix, I'll be watching that. But yeah, incredible game. And I don't know. I guess the Yankees just had more.
They
more of it
are-
in
They are underrated, man. As an offense, like no one. I mean, like they were kind of written off in this series, and I'll even put myself in there. I had Indians in 3. Even that, like that wasn't a knock on the Yankees. That was just, I think we put a lot of emphasis on starting pitching going into this series because it was it was a first to 2, and I mean, like I couldn't ignore Bieber, Carrasco, and then Plesac. But I mean, the Yankees offense just bested them, and they're gonna have an even bigger challenge going forward with the Rays. But I think they are up to it.
Yeah, I had a weird feeling. I had a weird, unexplained feeling about the Yankees offense. Like, I just remember, like, at least in 2017 and like 2019, they were able to kind of come out of the gates hot, somewhat. Like
They didn't come out hot in 2017,
in-
other than the wild card
in,
game.
I guess in 2019 against Minnesota, their offense was incredible, and then game one of the game one of the ALCS against the Astros,
Yeah, they won that.
they came out hot. So I think, I don't know. I don't know. I'm still not sure about the Yankees' identity. Are they a legit like?
It will
5
be
seed?
shown. I think it'll be shown in this series.
Yeah, it's
Like this is a team that played extremely well against them all season long, even with the injuries. I mean, they did what they should have with the unhealthy Yankees roster. Went 8-2 against them. I mean, like the Rays did everything right against the Yankees this season, and the Yankees' identity is going to be shown in this series.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not controversial to say that the winner of the Rays Yankees series will probably represent the American League in the World Series.
I can say that with 100% confidence.
Yeah, it's not controversial to say at all. Those are probably the 2 best teams in the playoffs, or in the 2 best American League teams in the playoffs right
Yes.
now. So that is that's how it shapes up right now.
So as for the Indians, we've been talking about this for a while, and I've been against it for so long, but I feel like I can't ignore it now. We need to get Francisco Lindor out of there, man. We really, I am for the trade rumors this year. I've been heavily against them. I've been begging them to give Lindor the bag, but you know what? Someone's going to do it, and it's going to be a team that gives him what he deserves. I know that he didn't do very well in the postseason, but I mean, some of the decisions made, everything was just bad. Everything was just so bad, and he deserves so much better than this.
Yeah, I could see a trade definitely happening because Indians aren't going to pay him, and he's in free agency after 2021.
That's right.
So this is the time. I mean, they've traded Bauer a year and a half before his free agency.
This goes far beyond Bauer, man.
They traded Kluber a year before his free agency.
They traded Clev.
They traded,
and
well, Clevenger was a different situation for sure.
It was, but I mean, even this goes so far back. Like Kenny Lofton is another good example.
Yeah. Did he get traded, or
he got traded?
He got legit traded
before '97.
Did Jim Thome get traded, or was he in free agency?
I think he might have been a free agent, but I know for a fact they traded Lofton, who is the most beloved guy on the team.
Yeah. They let Manny
and he was
Ramirez,
upset.
They let Manny Ramirez go to free agency. Yeah, it's just historic in the Indians organization that things like this will happen, and they'll probably want to get some young pitching.
Thome was a free agent.
Yeah, they'll probably want to get some young pitching, and just keep doing what they're doing. Winning some regular season games, not quite getting it done in the postseason, and just repeat from there. I mean, they've made the playoffs in 3
of the last 4 years.
Four of the last 5.
Yeah.
4 of the last 5 years. I mean, they just keep coming back.
They blew a 3-1 lead. They blew a 2-0 lead. They got swept, and they got swept.
Yeah, and they've traded some guys. They've been fine apparently, and that's probably going to be the case with Lindor. They'll trade him. Maybe they'll get into the playoffs. Maybe they won't. And that's just the Indians.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, this is probably the last season that they're going to be named the Indians too.
Yeah, very possibly. Very possibly.
So the 2021 Cleveland Spiders, their leadoff man at shortstop, Jose Ramirez.
Jose Ramirez, the shortstop.
Yep.
Yeah. And speaking of AL Central teams losing, we can talk about the White Sox and A's. Pretty crazy series because after game one, it looked like a lock that the White Sox were going to take this series, especially after Giolito's performance. They won that game, 4-1?
Yes, 4-1.
Yeah, it was a pretty generally non-competitive game, and they just couldn't get it done in the next two games.
My take on the White Sox before the season started was that they were going to discover that Rick Renteria wasn't the guy for them. I knew that, everyone knew that this team had so much potential, and I thought that Rick Renteria was going to be holding them back because I felt like they should have been here a couple years ago. I felt like they were a little late on being competitive, and I thought I was proven wrong during the regular season. They go 35-25, almost win the division, but they play tough. They have a tough couple of weeks to end the season. And it comes down to a do or die game 3 against one of the best bullpens in baseball. And you do a surprise opener?
Yeah.
Really? You're going to put Dane Dunning gets in one jam, so he's done, and you bring in a guy who never even played in the minor leagues. And to Garrett Crotchett's credit, I don't know how it's pronounced, but to his credit, I mean, he did very well this year, but he got hurt in his outing. They were almost like out of pitchers. Like they had to stretch Evan Marshall to go 2, and so he could give up 2 runs, or one earned. But yeah, I hated the decision to go surprise opener. Dane Dunning gave up 2 hits in the first inning with 2 outs, and they took him out.
Yeah, it was pretty wild to see. And Dane Dunning, he seemed to have some success going into it. I think he struggled at the tail end of the season, but he definitely had established success during the season. His ERA ended up being in the mid 3s or something,
like high 3s, yeah.
Yeah, mid to high 3s.
I would have rather had him go like 3 or 4 than two thirds of an inning.
Yeah, because the bullpen for the White Sox was good.
They have a few good guys, but they're not that deep.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you have your Evan Marshalls, you have your Matt Fosters, you have your Alex Colomes, who are very good. But the rest of those guys are not fantastic.
Yeah, they're built, to go in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. They're built to be good for 3 to maybe 5 innings. They're not the Tampa Bay Rays who just have pitcher after pitcher after pitcher who's, throwing 98 at 3,000 revolutions per minute with their spin rate. They're not the Rays. It's not like that. It's not that much depth. And going 2/3 of an inning, he almost got out of it without giving up a run, and he still didn't end up giving up a run. It's pretty wild. And I think you got it. You pretty much got it all right. You did have the White Sox in 3rd, which they ended up being, and you had Rick Renteria getting fired, which
hasn't happened, but
could happen.
That could be a decision that gets him fired. Going with a surprise opener there. You could very easily say that lost them the game and the series and the season. Giolito looked great. He had a perfect game going into the 7th inning, and that just didn't work. Dallas Keuchel didn't have it. I don't know what happened. He led the league in home runs per 9. He ended up giving up 2 home runs, one to Marcus Semien and one to Chris Davis.
And in a pitcher's park as well.
Yeah. I can't really explain what happened to Dallas Keuchel there. I mean, I guess his FIP caught up to him.
Yeah.
Because he always was a high FIP type of guy. Dylan Cease threw a shutout inning. Woo, he did it. He didn't even have any walks or hits allowed. It was just three batters, no strikeouts. Just they all hit into field outs. But yeah, Keuchel just didn't have it. Chris Bassett did a fantastic job, and I will not let that go unnoticed. 7 innings, 6 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts for a game score of 65. Huge job by him with their backs to the wall. And I mean, the Oakland A's, they did a fantastic job with their backs to the wall in this series. And I really hope that they take this momentum into the next series because they broke the curse of the of them not being able to win or take all game. I think they had lost like 9 or 10 straight going into that game.
Yeah, and now they're back.
Yeah.
Kind of a forgotten about talking point, but yeah, it the Twins continue to lose, but the A's kind of broke a bit of their I guess curse. We talked about they hadn't won a playoff series in 14 years, and now they have, and they did it.
That's right.
They did it facing elimination twice.
Yeah.
Which props to them, and it was against an established regular season team like the White Sox. It wasn't like the Astros, who they are about to face. And now moving to the National League, our most anticipated series of the wild card round, Reds Braves, Game 1.
We talked all about the Reds starting pitching.
Yes, and Game 1, it wasn't just the Reds starting pitching, but also the Braves starting pitching that showed up to work. Bauer was definitely more dominant, and the Reds kind of messed themselves up with some base running, but Max Fried was incredible as well, and I didn't end up catching the extra innings. It
was so bad.
What did the game look like?
The Reds went over 1,000 with runners in scoring position. Not really. They went 1 for 13, and the one hit was just a sharp line drive into left field with Joey Votto on second. So he only moved to third on that one. But yeah, that was the one hit. The entire series that the Reds had with runners in scoring position. And I mean, we talked all about the Reds starting pitching, and they lived up to the hype. They did a great job. Between Castillo and Bauer, they only give up 1 earned run in, I think, 13 plus innings pitched. So let me just explain the extras to you, because it was complicated. So let's start with the 11th, because not too much eventful stuff happened in the 10th. But in the 11th, the Reds got a 2-out double from Nick Castellanos, which led to an intentional walk to Joey Votto, another walk to Eugenio Suarez, and Mike Moustakas came up to the plate against Tyler Matzik and struck out on 3 pitches with the bases loaded. On 3, it wasn't even a competitive at bat at all. So it's a wasted opportunity. You had runners in scoring position. Granted, it was 2 outs, but still, you got to capitalize there. Then in the 12th, Aquino and Winker, 2 back-to-back singles. Aquino actually goes to third on the Winker single. So you got men on the corners with no outs. Kyle Farmer strikes out, Tucker Barnhart strikes out, and Freddie Galvis, you guessed it, he strikes out. Terrible hitting with runners in scoring positions. Then you move to the 13th. Castellanos strikes out. Joey Votto singles. Then he advanced second on a wild pitch, and then Suarez gets the 1 hit with runners in scoring position, moves Votto over to third. So now you got men on the corners with 1 out. Aquino strikes out, and Jose Garcia grounds out. So that is, are you keeping track of how many runners on scoring position with less than 2 outs that have already been stranded in just those 3 innings?
It's impossible.
Yeah. So then you go to the bottom of the 13th, and something has to give. R.G. Bradley starts out the inning, giving up a single to Nick Markakis, a single to Austin Riley, and then a ground out to Ronald Acuna Jr. to put men on the corners with 1 out. They bring in Amir Garrett to face Freddie Freeman, and he promptly gave up an RBI single to win the game for the Braves.
Yeah, it's extremely disappointing to see. And one of the reasons I picked the Reds was their momentum heading into the season. Not to make a double entendre with Trevor Bauer's media company, but they had a lot of momentum heading into that series, and that included the offense. The offense, I looked up, like their last 2 weeks of the season, their weighted runs created plus was above 100, which it wasn't before that. Having like a 107 weighted runs created plus isn't that crazy, but when you have that pitching, it seems like you should be winning most of those games. And the offense, like most of the season, disappointed. That whole series, 0 runs in 22 innings is all you have to say. It was horrible to see, especially, the Reds' best, the Reds' best guys did their best, Trevor Bauer and Luis Castillo, but they couldn't get anything out of it.
this series reminds me of something that I conveniently forget about all the time, but then remember that it exists every time I see it in front of my face, and that the Reds are just a doomed franchise for whatever reason. Like no matter what happens, no matter how they look on paper, no matter how momentum is shifting for them, they will always just find ways to lose in the most catastrophic ways and get in their own way. One of my Instagram friends is a Reds fan, and he made a list during the 2019 season of games that they should have won that they lost, whether that be like losing 1-0 to like a number 5 starter who was on a bad trend, or like blowing a 6-2 lead in the 7th inning, stuff like that. And they would have been above 500 and close to first place in the NL Central last year had they won all those games. Obviously, and that shows how long the list is of games like that. And when they came out of the gate struggling this season, I started remembering, oh yeah, it's the Reds. They do this. And I forgot about it again, and they fooled us yet again in this playoff series. It's like, oh, that's right, they're the Reds. They're going to go 0 for 1,000 with runners in scoring position and not score a run the entire series. Of course, how can I forget? They have this great starting pitching, but you can't win games with just starting pitching, as we've seen with this team.
Yeah, and this was against the Braves, who don't have a great recent playoff history themselves.
Or great starting pitching depth, which, it doesn't matter what your depth is when you only play 2 games, but...
Yeah, the Braves, they lost first round in 2019, 2018, 2013.
It was their first series. It was their first
2010.
Series win since 2001.
Yeah, first series win since 2001.
The Mariners were in the playoffs the last time the Braves won a playoff series.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
I was a year old.
Crazy. It was absolutely crazy. The Braves' lack of recent postseason success, and they even lost to them. So I guess they are a doomed franchise at the moment. At the moment,
it's a shame.
They're not doing it, and their future doesn't look too bright. They got Bauer going on the free agent market.
It'd be really sad if they just go right back into tanking.
Yeah.
Imagine spending 7 years in the basement to finally come up for like a 2-week period and then be shoved right back down, and that's it.
Yeah. Luckily, I guess one bright spot is Nick Castellanos probably not going to opt out.
I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah, because he had a slightly above average season overall.
Yeah.
So I guess Castellanos is staying. But yeah, Bauer's going, and Joey Votto's still getting older. Gonna be interesting. So the next,
hold on, I just want to make some closing remarks on the Reds before we move on. As I've said, like this team, I just don't know what to say, because this team, they were there and there's a deep drive by Castellanos, and it'll be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game. I don't know if they're going to be back there again next year, whether it be in the expanded playoffs, whether it's for their bosses at Fox. I just don't know what's going on with this team.
Yeah. I don't know if the Reds are going to be putting on that NL Central champion shirt again. I'm not sure.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, they didn't this year, but I don't know if we see them back in the playoffs in the near future. It's weird.
Yeah.
You hate to see it. So the next National League, I guess also National League Central matchup, but Central versus East, Cubs, Marlins. We said at the beginning, we both said Cubs in 2. You got Kyle Hendricks and you got Yu Darvish going back to back. Little did we know their offense would just not show up, and
just like the Reds.
And the Marlins pitching staff would be the one that would be shining.
Yeah.
Sandy Alcantara and Sixto Sanchez.
They did an excellent job. And the Marlins are just, I tweeted this, the Marlins are the most unexplainable phenomenon when they reach the playoffs. Like they have never lost a playoff series in the history of their franchise. They are 7-0. That is the best winning percentage of any franchise ever. Obviously, it's a 1,000.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. Like the
Yeah.
Marlins are just generally known as this, bottom feeder franchise. That's their nickname this year is the bottom feeders. And just anytime they reach the playoffs, they become the 1920s Yankees.
Yeah, yeah. The Marlins. Yeah, the Marlins. I like their entire being is doing stuff that they're not supposed to do, whether it be winning 4 years, winning the World Series
Accidentally.
in their 5th year of existence.
In a game they should not have won. They were trailing by 1 with an elite closer on the mound in Game 7.
Yeah, facing like the second best American League team of the 90s, the Cleveland Indians, who had, Manny Ramirez,
Albert Bell.
Manny Ramirez, Albert Bell, Jim Thome.
Kenny. Oh, they didn't have Kenny Lofton that year.
But so many superstars, and they won that. Then in 2003, they beat the Yankees in the World Series.
The dynasty Yankees, the core 4 Yankees.
They beat Barry Bonds in the playoffs.
Yep. during the best prime ever.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? And I bet a lot of people can't even name like most of the players on those teams. Like I remember I went to a sports broadcasting camp a few years ago, and there was a trivia question: who had the game-winning hit for the Marlins in 1997? So many puzzled looks on people's faces. I'm just like, it was Edgar Renteria.
Oh yeah, Edgar Renteria.
Oh yeah, he played for the Marlins. That's like most of people who play for the Marlins. It's like, oh yeah, they were on the Marlins. Like Mike Piazza, Pudge Rodriguez, like guys like that. Like
AJ Burnett, Brad Penny,
Josh Beckett.
The original Luis Castillo.
Yes.
Who played second base. Yeah. Yeah, the Marlins just constantly, their entire being is doing things that
and they did it again. They did it again. They won. They did it with home runs too.
Yeah.
Like most of their runs. Corey Dickerson hit a 3-run home run in Game 1 to put them up 3-1 in the 7th inning, and then Jesus Aguilar did the same thing 2 batters later to make it 5-1. And that was Game 1. It was a 5-1 game. Sandy Alcantara was fantastic, and then in Game 2, it's 0-0 going into the 7th, and you get a home run from Garrett Cooper, of course. And then you did get a RBI single from Magneuris Sierra.
Yes.
Yep. I remember when the Marlins got Magneuris Sierra, and everyone was like, "Well, this team is serious now.
Yeah.
This team is going for it."
And what was Sixto's line?
It was very good. It was.
He must have had a lot of strikeouts.
5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 walks, no runs, 6 strikeouts. Game score of 63.
Still pretty good.
He outdueled Yu Darvish.
Yeah, he outdueled Yu Darvish. I mean, Yu Darvish did go a little longer, but still, Sixto Sanchez he had
the Cubs offense was just so bad. It was very weird.
Yeah, carrying over from their 2018, how they got eliminated in 2018 is exactly how they got eliminated this year, except there's no Tony Walters.
It was just a string of people.
Yeah, string of people, and very disappointing for the Cubs. The Cubs franchise. I mean, I don't know. They're kind of an old team. Chris Bryant probably going to go into free agency.
Baez, Rizzo, and Bryant went 1 for 24 in this series.
And Bryant is a free agent after 2021.
That's right.
And he didn't have the best year this year, and they still succeeded. So maybe not the biggest deal. But still, not something you want to see, especially in the playoffs.
No.
Weird. And then now you have Marlins Braves.
Do you feel like the Cubs are hanging on too tightly to 2016? Because they still have a lot of that roster on this team. Like, let me just look in the starting lineup. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people in the starting lineup in Game 2 were on the 2016 team. Well, that was 4 years ago at this point. And that team, I mean, they were mostly young, but you usually don't have that much left that much after, I feel like.
Well, I don't know. So
you also have one of those people as your manager.
Yeah, that is correct. So.
That might be I don't hate David Ross as a manager, but I feel like that is a sign that they might be holding on too tightly to that.
Yeah, well, Jason Hayward, they signed.
Jason
before-
Hayward, you had no choice.
They
Yeah.
signed before 2016. Anthony Rizzo, they
Kyle
signed,
Schwarber's one question.
Yes.
How remember when Kyle Schwarber was untouchable in trades? You think they regret that now? You think they probably could have gotten someone really good for Kyle Schwarber after 16?
I'm not sure.
They probably could have.
I don't know. Yeah, Schwarber, I guess, would be
Maybe Wilson Contreras.
a guy you're talking about. Rizzo signed an extension before like 2015. Chris Bryant, they have just the control on him, and Baez, they also have the control. But like these are all guys who have been good for a while, but just not good in the postseason as of late. And Baez didn't have a good year this past year. Bryant didn't have a good year this past year. Definitely weird stuff, especially from guys who are like supposed to be heading in their prime, late 20s, early 30s, and just not showing up.
The
for
one
work.
the one big positive that came from the Cubs this year was your guy to watch, Ian Happ. He produced the one run in the series for the Cubs on a solo home run. And this season in general, he did a fantastic job. I mean, he did slow down towards the end, but ended with an 866 OPS, which is very encouraging. It was very streaky, though. I'd like to see him be more consistent, but definitely took a step forward this year.
Yeah, and I believe his Savant numbers were very good.
Yeah.
I don't know if they maintained very good, but let's look at Ian Happ. Should be good for a while. He was a first-round pick.
And he's only 25.
Yeah, only 25. First-round pick in 2015, ninth overall.
26, excuse me.
Yeah,
But in
he
his
was,
age- but
he
his
was,
age
he was in the
25.
78th percentile in expected weighted on-base average.
Yeah.
So definitely a very good offensive piece and a pretty good defensive piece, in the middle defensively, that you have in center field with the Cubs.
Yeah.
No connection to 2016 either.
Nope. Is that going to do it for the Cubs? They're my sleeper team.
I mean, they're just kind of in a weird spot. They have some talent. They don't have a lot of money to spend. I guess they don't have much money left to spend. They're just kind of stuck in the same place. They don't have a great farm system.
No, they don't.
Weird.
It's especially for a Theo run team.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think they traded off that much.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
They sort of just stopped developing players.
Yeah.
They had a stacked. I mean, Theo drafted guy after guy after guy. When he first got there in 2011 or 2012, and it seems like that's kind of stopped recently. Like it used to be all their first round picks consistently in the top 100. You look at Chris Bryant, you look at Kyle Schwarber, you look at Addison Russell when he was there. Obviously, that ship has sailed, and not for any reasons the Cubs are responsible for. I mean, every time that they had their guys in there, and that kind of just hasn't existed anymore.
I guess having the better record and getting the later draft picks may contribute to that.
But I mean, there's still like the baseball.
Epstein has always drafted well with the Red Sox.
Yeah.
He
drafted Mookie Betts.
He drafted
in the 5th round.
He drafted Mookie Betts in the 5th round. He drafted Bradley in the 2nd round. He drafted Ellsbury like late 1st round.
Yeah, like Theo Epstein's a guy who usually hits on his later picks. Even
I think John Lester might have been a 2nd round pick.
Does he go as far back as Theo?
John Lester.
When did he take over? 03 or 04?
03.
He was drafted in 02, so I feel like that might be
a
Dan
Duquette.
Duquette. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, still, Epstein drafted Pedroia.
Yes.
He was a big part of like, the core that was built in
Also,
2007.
Speaking of John Lester, he's up this year.
That's correct.
I remember when dude, I feel old. I remember when that deal was signed.
Yeah, I was on social media when that deal was signed.
It was a while ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm saying like
Instagram.
I was on social media, and
but like
it's still like
Didn't
it
it get?
feels
Didn't
like
it
it happened
happen
yesterday.
Didn't it happen like mad late at night? Because I remember waking up to it,
I just remember the next day like
being depressed. Yeah.
being depressed about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still weird that the Red Sox decided to sign Hanley and Pablo instead.
Yeah. Yep.
Still weird.
Yep.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I guess they got David Price, which was nice.
That led to a World Series.
Yeah, that was nice.
Anywho,
So the Cubs in a weird place. Marlins. I mean, who knows? Who knows with the Marlins? I have no idea.
they got a big test next round.
I mean, nothing will ever surprise me with the Marlins. They could get
Oh
swept.
no, it'll still surprise me. But even if I see it coming, it's just like, how do they keep doing this?
Yeah, they could get swept in 3 by the Braves, or they can win the World Series. I won't be terribly shocked because them making the playoffs this year was enough to shock me.
Yeah.
And now it's just like they just keep doing their
Now
thing.
they're gonna win the World Series. It's like what?
They're gonna end up after this year 10-0 in postseason series. It's gonna be weird. A team that wishes they had the same postseason success as the Miami Marlins are the Los Angeles Dodgers,
Mm-hmm.
who faced the Milwaukee Brewers and did what they were supposed to do against the Milwaukee Brewers. Got them in 2. Luckily, they were able. Brandon Woodruff ran into some.
It wasn't. I
Trouble.
mean, they were all unearned runs against him.
Yeah, Urias messed up a play, and a lot of runs were given up with 2 outs in the 5th inning. So, took advantage of the Brewers' mistakes.
I tried to be edgy for this series and say Dodgers in 3, and I was wrong. Walker Buehler still kind of concerns me though. He only went 4 innings in his start. He hasn't gone deep into a game in a while since he came off the IL, and they're obviously going to need him. They're going to need him doing what he did in the 2018 World Series if they want to go all the way.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that doesn't seem to be happening right now.
Yeah, and he was a guy who he was spectacular in last year's playoffs, even though they lost the series. It was about what happened after he exited the game.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's a guy you need because not every playoff series is going to be against the Brewers.
Yeah. And they're facing San Diego coming up. That's going to be an exciting series. I'm excited for all these series. They're going to be so good, but we'll get to them later. I don't really have much to go over with this series. I think it kind of went as most people expected. Did you see the lineup that the Brewers put out for Game 2, by the way? It was miserable. Like, I just got sad looking at it. It was Avisal Garcia, Christian Yelich, Jed Jerko, Ryan Healy, Orlando Arcia, Keston Hiura, Tyrone Taylor, Jacob Nottingham, and Luis Urias and Jacob Nottingham. It's not a winning lineup.
Yeah, 29-31. The Dodgers did to them what the Twins should have done to the Astros.
Mm-hmm.
2-game sweep. Clayton Kershaw looked very good, but that doesn't really mean that much against that lineup. We'll see how he does against the Padres.
Yeah. As far as any parting words I have for the Brewers, I really don't know. I mean, I'm going to need Keston Hiura to do better than what he did this year. Christian Yelich, I don't know what the hell that was. 205 average. That is very, very bad.
And a guy you pay $30 million a year, you want him to have more than a 780 OPS.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because I'm not putting too much weight on the batting average.
Do you think the Brewers should look to shop some people like Hader?
I don't know. The Brewers, we knew that they were going to digress after last year.
They lost a lot of depth. They lost Grandal. They lost Thames. They lost
Mike
Moustakas, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we knew they were going to digress. I mean, I don't know. I feel like you don't really want to rebuild after you gave that contract to Yelich. But I don't know. I don't know what the other options are.
Yeah, who are they going to go out and get?
They're not a huge big market team.
Yeah.
They're not going to.
They might be in one of the weirdest spots in the league right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Sort of, I don't know. Maybe sort of like. No, I wouldn't say that. I was gonna say they were kind of like the Red Sox, but not really, because the Red Sox gave an extension to Bogarts, and they're kind of in a tank situation, but probably not for long because they're a bigger market team.
Yeah.
And they'll probably be in some free agent sweepstakes, and
in the next few years.
and they'll probably get back to success in the next couple years. Maybe not next year, but in the next couple years.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the Brewers are in such a weird spot. I don't really
Yeah.
know. I mean, good luck to David Stearns. We will see what happens. But I am intrigued to
Yeah.
see what happens here. Because I mean, I will say Corbin Burns, very good job this year. I really want to see that going forward. Same with Brandon Woodruff. Devin Williams. I know he was left off the playoff roster, and that's really tough. I don't think he would have made much of a difference in this series, being that he's a reliever.
Yeah.
And they were down to begin with. But Devin Williams is awesome. That's a guy you need to keep. So I'm really happy to see what he did this year. An 0.33 ERA with 17.7 strikeouts per nine. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
They have a good top end of the rotation with Woodruff and Burns. And they have a good back end of the bullpen with Hader and Williams. So that's encouraging. That you need more depth in that lineup, man. You need it.
For sure, especially after losing Grandal,
Mhm.
Thames, and Moustakas.
And Braun might be gone too because he's up. He's a free agent.
Yeah, although it would be weird to see him
It would be so
away
weird to
from
see.
the Brewers.
It would be. It would be very weird to see him
Been
anywhere
there,
else.
been there since 07.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 14 years in a Brewers uniform. That would be weird. Any more thoughts on the Dodgers and Brewers?
Yeah, I don't really got nothing.
Yeah. So now on to one of the more exciting series of the playoffs so far. Cardinals Padres. Cardinals came out, surprised a lot of people. They won the first game by what score?
It was 7-4.
7-4. And who started the
It was
game one for the Padres?
for the Padres. It was Chris Paddock.
Oh yeah, Chris Paddock versus Kim.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
I forget the first name.
I need to get it now because it's just I need it.
Kwang
Kwang
Young
Kim.
Kim. Yeah, Kwang Young Kim, who had a very low ERA in a short sample for the Cardinals, seemed to do.
And he was a product of South Korea.
Yeah, just like Hyunjin Ryu. Yeah, seemed to do okay enough to win the game, which is, that's what you want from a pitcher. You want a pitcher who wins the game. And
The Mets could only wish they could have that with DeGrom.
yeah, and the offense came out, did very well, and it was like, maybe the Cardinals have something.
Game 2.
And then they continued their success. They were up 6-2 on the Padres.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my God, are the Padres, are they going to
The Cinderella story of the season.
Are they just going to crash and burn? And apparently not.
Genesis Cabrera came in the bottom of the 6th, up 6-2. Walked Austin Nola, walked Jay Cronenworth, struck out Trent Grisham, and then Chris's guy, Giovanni Gallegos, came in.
Yep.
Promptly gives up a 3-run bomb to Fernando Tatis Jr. and then one to follow up from Machado to tie the game up. Just like that.
If you're going to give up a bomb to somebody,
make it be Tatis.
Make it be Tatis.
Yeah. And then from there, the game just got completely out of hand. Will Myers led off the 7th with a home run, and then Tatis did it again to make it 6-9. Very nice score there. But then the Cardinals did get a couple back in the top of the 8th. But then Will Myers hit a 2-run shot in the bottom of the 8th. And I guess Paul Goldschmidt did get another one in. But that game ended up being 11-9 final score. Padres bullpen looked all right. I mean, to be fair, they pitched 7 innings and gave up 3 runs. So, yeah, they did a pretty good job. Yeah,
pretty good job. That's a 3.8, 5 or 6 ERA.
Not terrible. And I mean, the offense obviously did their thing.
And especially when once you have the lead and it's a larger lead, you're kind of pitching to the game, not worrying about giving up, a solo home run like they did in the ninth inning to Paul Goldschmidt.
Mm-hmm.
Just worried about throwing strikes, not getting too many base runners on.
So then you get to game 3, and the Padres went with an opener. Craig Stammen pitched an inning and 2/3, and the Padres ended up using 9 different pitchers to shut out the St. Louis Cardinals. 4-0 final score. Jack Flaherty, to his credit, 6 innings and 1/3, 1 run. He did very well. And Alex Reyes gave up a couple of unearned runs. No, not necessarily the fault of the Cardinals pitching, but the offense was just very lackluster against the Padres bullpen. But the Padres moved on. They are carrying a lot of momentum in the Dodgers series, which is exactly what they need.
Yeah, and apparently they have a very passionate fan
Yes.
base.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they're dancing in the streets of San Diego.
I hope they have their masks, but
I mean,
yeah.
Exciting stuff, nonetheless.
I mean, those videos of Tatis like dancing in the streets in front of all of them, like that makes me so happy.
Yeah, it's and very, very cool to see, very refreshing to see in the world we are living in currently.
See a bunch of people being happy.
Yeah, a lot of people
in
happy.
big crowds. You don't see that too often
And
nowadays.
yeah, there was like a tailgate party, and people were kind of in their own little groups, so it didn't seem awful to see that. And there was a lot of cool videos on the internet regarding San Diego and their fans finally seeing some success with this team, and their first postseason series win since what, 98?
Yes.
Yeah, first one in 22 years.
In my lifetime.
Yeah, in both of our lifetimes. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. They won the game, didn't have much trouble winning that game 3, and it's good for baseball.
It is. It's what baseball needs. We'll get to the Padres later, but I just want to say a few words about the Cardinals and their postmortem. I want to lead with Yadier Molina because we very well could have seen the last of him this year. So I'm going to talk as if we have. He came up in 2004 as a 21-year-old with the Cardinals organization, immediately played in the World Series with them. So, I mean, they obviously trusted him from the get-go. And he's been a staple ever since. Mind you, this year, with everything the Cardinals went through, with, not having to not play for 2.5 weeks and having to play endless doubleheaders and having to play 2 less games than everyone else, Yadier Molina led the league in innings caught.
Yeah, that was
at the age of 37.
Yes.
That guy has such a passion for catching that is unmatched.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that that's immeasurable, and I know that, the Cardinals fans love their intangibles with Yadier Molina, and rightfully so. Like, I will not deny that, because he is a competitor on the field and behind the plate.
And a master of defense behind the plate for sure.
9 gold gloves and 4 platinum gloves.
4 platinum gloves.
That's a joke.
Yeah, and even the defensive metrics on him are good as well. I think he has like almost 30 defensive wins above replacement.
Yeah.
25.4 defensive wins above replacement. Almost more defensive wins above replacement than offensive wins above replacement.
Yeah, it's only separated by 1.5. Just
Yeah.
about. Yadi, if this is it for you, I know that decision may come later, but good for you.
And
excellent career.
And he ended up with postseason batting. Ended up with 101 career postseason hits, which is I think 5th all time.
Yeah, he passed Bernie Williams.
Yeah, I mean, I know it is skewed because they used to only have the World Series.
Yeah.
But still, one of the more when a guy in the playoffs that has been seen a lot in recent memory, a 280 career batting average in the playoffs.
That's right.
He's been there a lot, and a fun guy to watch. And
I wish him the best in his potential retirement if that is the case.
Yeah, very much so.
Cardinals as a whole, I mean, credit to them for getting to the postseason with the roster that they had and everything they had to go through. Dylan Carlson looks intriguing. I know he needs to develop a little more because he didn't hit too well in the regular season. 616 OPS, but he's only 21 years old, and I really hope he continues to develop. Alex Reyes, I saw a lot of development from him this year. He's obviously gone through a lot. He had Tommy John at a young age, and he came up and had a 3.20 ERA in 19 2/3 innings pitched, which is I'm really hopeful for him. I hope he found a new role as the closer this year. Initially, he was supposed to be a starter, but he may have to go through a different route, and that's okay. And I really hope that he can continue his success going forward.
Yeah, Cardinals, interesting team. They have a lot of young talent, but they also have a lot of old talent with
They do.
Wainwright and Molina.
Actually, Wainwright might be a free agent too. Yeah,
Yeah.
he is. He could. I mean, I don't know. I think he has a lesser chance of retiring right now than Yachty.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll figure that one out as time goes, and he will
Yeah.
get his segment if so.
Yeah. So Cardinals also in a weird spot. They were hovering around 500 the whole year. This year they won 90 games. Last year, and there's probably going to be a little turnover. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Cardinals
We will.
over the next few years. But the Padres look to be doing well this year and probably in the future as well. And they're going to be facing the Dodgers. But first, in our previews, we'll be talking about probably the least anticipated.
I don't know, man. I don't think
Yeah.
there is a. I mean, these teams fought this year.
That is true, actually, because of not, just on paper, not the most anticipated playoff series. But when you add in the fact that they fought and they have been division rivals, and the A's feel like some division titles were taken away from them because of what might have been happening.
What was that? Commissioner's report said it was happening.
In 2018?
Well, I mean, okay, fair enough.
2017,
Fair
the
enough.
A's,
They were not
A's
very
were not
good.
robbed.
Yeah, you're right.
What might have been happening in 2018 and 2019. And the A's are coming in. They won the season series this year. They went 7-3 against the Astros. And of course, they fought. They fought, and there's animosity between the teams. Astros probably want to prove a point to them, I guess, maybe big brother them a little bit, despite losing the division this year. What are your thoughts on the series?
Well, the A's won the season series 7-3, and they have home field, and they obviously feel like, they have this grudge, and they have the momentum of winning the last two in that series after being down. So I really do like their chances. And obviously you have the Laureano fight that happened this year. You have the animosity between them, like you mentioned. So I listed out one guy on each team offensively to look for based on their numbers against the team they're playing throughout the season. Because conveniently we have all in division matchups for this league division series. So on the A's, my guy to look for is Ramon Laureano, A, because of the fight, and B, because against the Astros this season, he slashed 314, 405, 543 for a 948 OPS and 161 weighted runs created plus. So watch out for Laureano. Also, Robbie Grossman had very good numbers as well. And my guy on the Astros to look for is George Springer. Against the A's this season, he hit 296, 321, 556 for an 877 OPS. So he was very good as well. Yeah,
Some good matchups heading in there. Yeah, A's Astros. Interesting because they're from both sides sort of a lack of starting pitching.
Mm-hmm. Also, this series is in LA, so the Dodger fans get another chance to see the Astros.
Yeah, which is hilarious to think about, and hilarious to think about the Astros potentially clinching a series in Dodger Stadium once again.
Even if it's not against the Dodgers,
Yeah,
it's also no travel days have me interested here because I think a pitching depth is going to be huge, and the A's definitely have the advantage there.
Yeah, in terms of depth.
I think we put too much emphasis on starting pitching and not enough on just depth in general.
Yeah, depth.
Because obviously you're going to have guys.
Offense.
Because obviously these guys are going to have no rest. It's 5 straight days of baseball.
Yeah. So do we have anything else to say before we throw our predictions in?
I got nothing else.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think.
Mhm.
I think the A's should definitely take this series.
I have the A's in 4.
A's in 4. A's in 4 definitely sounds good. Yeah, the A's should absolutely win this series. They should get their, I guess, revenge on the Astros. The Astros against the Twins, I don't know how much stock I should take in that. Their offense still wasn't crazy impressive, and I don't know what to expect from their pitching in a 5-game series. So, yeah, A's in 4 sounds good. I'm going to also go with A's in 4.
All right.
So now we move on to the Tampa Bay Rays and the New York Yankees. We kind of went into this a little bit at the beginning of the show, but a very interesting series as well. The Rays won the season series 8-2. This was largely talked about during the season. It was a detriment against the Yankees in terms of talking about how good they were. And they also have a kind of a brawl of their own that
Not
went
necessarily
on.
a brawl,
Not a
but
brawl.
some beef.
Yeah, some, guys throwing it at people going on with those teams.
Yeah, so back in early September, you had the series at Yankee Stadium where Aroldis Chapman threw a ball at Mike Brosso's head. Probably not intentional, but obviously he took it personally. And they were visibly upset. And Kevin Cash and Aaron Boone had some words to say afterwards, which I think led to both of them getting suspended. And the next night, Brasso homered, I think, twice. And if you go back and watch those 2 home runs, the Rays were screaming out of the dugout. I mean, they were going wild. So, and Kevin Kiermaier has outright said in his press conference, they don't like us and we don't like them. So it's going to be a fun series. This series is going to be aggressive on both sides. There's just going to be a lot of just energy from both sides. And I'm really excited to see what happens.
Yeah, it's a very good series. They were drawing at each other, and like we said, the team that wins this series is probably going to the World Series.
I would buy it.
I would say there's like an 85% chance of that happening.
Yes.
That the winner of this series goes to the World Series. I don't see the series after this being that competitive unless I see something different from one of the other teams or one of these teams. I guess to talk about Mike Brasso, go over his stats against the Yankees this year. He had 16 plate appearances against the Yankees this year.
Which is, I know, a small sample size, but
Yeah.
I couldn't leave this out.
He hit .429 with a 1652 OPS and 314 weighted runs created plus, being triple the average hitter.
Yes.
in those 16 plate appearances. Very good numbers from Mike Brasso. And Luke Voigt from the Yankees side against the Rays, unlike a lot of batters against the Rays pitching staff, did very well. Luke Voigt, he hit .333 with an 1102 OPS against the Rays. Pretty surprising to see, if I'm being honest. And 196 weighted runs created plus against the Rays. So, one of their biggest offensive producers also produced against the Rays, which is very important and something to take note for sure.
That's right. This series could really go either way. I mean, the Yankees offense versus the Rays pitching depth, I think, is going to be the big question. If you're the Rays, you need to be able to hit with runners in scoring position. That's going to be the key to them winning.
Absolutely.
Like, runners in scoring position is going to be that's going to be the number one thing I look at, if at the end of this series, depending on who comes out on top, because I think if the Rays, from the Rays side, that's definitely the biggest X factor, because they're not necessarily a home run hitting team, especially with, guys like Austin Meadows, guys like Ji-Man Choi that are probably not going to be in that lineup for most of it. You have guys like Randy Arozarena, guys like Brandon Lau, who does hit home runs, but I see him spraying the ball into the gaps more than I see him hitting home runs. And that's I think is going to be the key, especially against Garrett Cole, because most of the runs that scored off him this season, especially against the Rays, were on the home run ball. So, if they can knock Cole around, obviously if you knock Cole around, no matter who you are, that's a really good look. because that guy is going to bring it, especially in the playoffs. But as for my prediction, I'm nervous because this really could go any way. Like if the Yankees win in 3, I wouldn't be surprised, and if the Rays win in 3, I wouldn't be surprised. So I'm gonna go Rays in 5, and the reason I'm going Rays in 5 is because I envision them splitting the first 2 games, splitting the second 2 games, and then the Rays going all hands on deck in Game 5. And the Rays going all hands on deck is a scary idea.
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup. The Yankees, they have 3 starters that they can kind of rely on, I guess. They got Cole, Tanaka, and Happ. Unfortunately for them, especially for them, no days off in this series. So you don't really know if you can throw.
I was going to say,
Cole.
Chapman always has problems with going. The Yankees always try to avoid using Chapman twice in a row. That's not going to be a thing. Like, he's going to have to do it.
Yeah, they have very good bullpen pieces, but they don't have the exact same depth that the Tampa Bay Rays do.
The Rays just feel like they're built for a series like this, where you don't have any rest, and you got to just have as many guys ready to go as possible.
Yeah, I'm gonna I would say I think my thoughts lean towards Rays in 5, but I think just so we don't have the same one.
Okay.
And I guess it's a little aggressive to say, but I have the Rays winning in 4. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough for them to do this, but I think them not playing in Yankee Stadium gonna be a factor, and just being able to silently win these games. Charlie Morton, I guess, is gonna be featured in the series.
Yeah.
He should do somewhat well. I'm not sure how he did against the Yankees this year.
He only pitched 4 innings.
Yeah, only pitched 4 innings. So we'll see. The Yankees offense, of course, looked good, and they're at full health, so that might be an issue. But I guess I'm going Rays in 4.
Okay. Wow, that is aggressive.
Yeah. So on to the next series. We've got the Braves and the Marlins, the battle of the NL East. Braves won the season series 6-4, so not lopsided either way. One lopsided game, particularly, was when they won by 20. They won 29-9.
Yeah.
We talked about this.
We had an entire segment on that game.
We had like a 10-minute segment on just that game in one of our previous episodes. That was a crazy game, but Marlins still won 4 out of 10 against the Braves.
This series is going to be in Houston, by the way.
Yes, series will be in Houston. What are we thinking about this series?
Well, as for my guys to watch, Dansby Swanson absolutely destroyed the Marlins this season. 429, 535, 686 for a 1221 OPS, 226 weighted runs created plus. Dansby's been a guy that's always been a breakout candidate, and he'll have flashes of it here and there, but this series, I think, is where he could really shine. The Braves have the momentum from winning a postseason series for the first time since I was a year old. So that's exciting. Literally, the Braves' playoff winless streak was longer than the Marlins' playoff streak. Playoff list streak.
Yeah.
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 Yep. That's crazy to think about. For the Marlins, I'm looking at Jesus Aguilar against the Braves this season. 375, 422, 575 for a 997 OPS, 170 weighted runs created plus.
Yeah. Braves Marlins, definitely an interesting matchup. The Marlins kind of surprised us at the beginning, and their pitching staff is kind of good. Their starting pitching staff is kind of good. Their bullpen, I'm not sure about their bullpen, but their offense seems to work as a unit somewhat well. Good enough to beat the Cubs and to also make the playoffs. And the Braves, everyone knows where the Braves' strengths are.
It's an offense.
It's an offense, and it's at the top,
and
very, very top of their rotation.
And it's in the upstate New York legend himself, Ian Anderson.
Yeah, Max Fried and Ian Anderson lead the way in the rotation.
The rotation depth does concern me. I think if the Marlins can steal one of these 2 games, we really have an interesting series on our hands.
Yeah, the Marlins could definitely win.
Especially with no days off.
Yeah, for sure. They might have to throw Fried on 3 days rest if it does go 5. Yeah, the no days off thing is gonna throw a real
Wrench at everyone.
wrench into everyone's plans, more than more than it normally would. And yeah,
Which is why I'm excited.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean the Braves, like Kyle Wright was supposed to go game 3 against the Reds, which already isn't that great. But then you got to look at a game 4 starter. So what are you gonna do, like Tommy Malone?
yeah. I don't. It's
If that,
weird.
I'm telling you, man, if the Marlins win one of these first 2 games, they could very well win the series in 4.
They could, yeah,
That is an absolute thing that can happen.
yeah. And I'm not very familiar with the Marlins roster that much, so I don't really know where their weak points are. They just seem to be kind of average all around.
It is.
Might be good
really
enough.
is. Honestly, it is.
It might be good enough. I don't know. It's a weird series to predict for sure.
But we got to do it.
Yeah, we have to do it.
You want to go first?
Yeah, I should go first because, yeah, you've gone first each of the first 2 times. I mean, it would be very hard to go against the Braves. I mean, they have a very, very talented roster. I'm just pondering it in my head. I'm thinking out loud here.
Okay. Dude, take your time.
I mean, what is the Marlins?
They got Brian Anderson. They got Jesus Aguilar.
What's the Marlins starting?
Is Starlin Marte going to be coming back? Because he got hurt in the Cubs series, which is concerning. They got Monte Harrison. They got Lewis Brinson. They got Miguel Rojas. They got Corey Dickerson. They got Magneuris Sierra.
I mean, they beat the Cubs.
They got John
in 2
Birdie.
games.
They got interesting assets. They use so many pitchers this year, by the way. It is ridiculous. You got Pablo Lopez in game 3, and then Daniel Castano in game 4.
I'm gonna say the Braves win in 5.
Okay.
It's gonna go 5 games, and they're gonna be the first team to beat the Marlins in the playoffs. The Braves are gonna win in 5. That's my prediction.
For my prediction, I'm gonna do it, Chris.
You're taking the Marlins.
I'm gonna take the Marlins in 5. I really think I'm sticking with my guns on that statement. If they can win one of those first 2 games, they are winning this series.
Yeah.
The Braves' rotation depth and even their bullpen to some extent, I don't know how much I like it. And they should have lost game 1 to the Reds. They absolutely should have.
Yeah.
1 for 13 with runners in scoring position can't happen. And I really like Alcantara and Sixto Sanchez, even if he did struggle throughout the second half of the of his little short season. I still think he's got a knack for the playoffs. The series is going to be in Houston, which is going to cater to offense, so that does definitely favor the Braves. But the Marlins are a team that just finds a way. They do what they're not supposed to do, and they've never lost in the playoffs when they should have been out both times relatively early. And they're just going to fight their way again, and I think they win the series in 5 and shock the world.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun series for sure. Just interesting. The Marlins just being in an LDS series. It's so funny.
Yeah, it could be an NLCS.
So now on to the main event, I would say. The Dodgers and Padres.
This is the matchup that everybody wanted.
Yes. This is pretty much since August. I would say this is a series that we've kind of wanted ever since.
And like early August, not like August 31st when they got Clev August.
Yeah, like Slam Diego started. It's like
speaking of Slam Diego, this is going to be in Texas, where Slam Diego originated.
I mean, that might play a factor.
But it's also Clayton Kershaw's hometown.
Yes. So the Dodgers won the season series 6-4. And apparently there was some beef between Clayton Kershaw and Trent Grisham?
Yeah, so back in September, Grisham hit a bomb off Kershaw. It was a no-doubter. And he flipped his bat. When he was rounding first, he turned to Kershaw and gave him a smirk. And then he gave the same smirk to the Dodgers dugout. And I mean, he was really, the Padres are a team that do not care about how people feel about them. They're there to have fun. They don't care. And that was the beef between Grisham and Kershaw. And Dave Roberts came out after the game and said, I don't think it's okay for you to bat flip off an established pitcher like Clayton Kershaw. And you know what? The Padres don't care. They really do not care who they homer off for. They're going to have fun. They're going to laugh in your face no matter who you are. And that is the team that we're dealing with here.
Yeah, truly a battle of old versus new, at least in terms of legacy, because the Dodgers do have like some young guys, but it's truly a kind of maybe a David versus Goliath. Although the Padres aren't seen as like a weak team, they're just young, they're new and upcoming.
Yeah, imagine a Marlins Padres NLCS.
It's insane to think about.
That could happen. As for my guys to watch, my guy on the Dodgers is Mookie Betts. Against the Padres this season, he absolutely destroyed them. He slugged 429, 467, 786 for a 1252 OPS, 236 weighted runs created plus. And for the Padres, I'm looking at Will Myers. He hit 2 home runs in Game 2 on Thursday. And against the Dodgers, he slashed 364, 417, 727 for an 1144 OPS and 203 weighted runs created plus.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hell of a series. I guess anything more to say before the predictions?
This is going to be a fun series.
Yeah, for sure going to be fun.
I hope it goes 5. The Dodgers, I mean, they obviously have that, they have the pitching. You have Buehler, who tentatively might go 4 or 5 innings, which worries me. But Padres, I'm not huge on their starting pitching depth either, but they might have Clevenger coming back. That is a rumor at this point. It could happen. It's not guaranteed. Even if it does, it probably won't happen until like Game 3. But honestly, I think the Padres might be more deep, especially with their performance in Game 3. They used 9 pitchers to shut out the Cardinals using an opener. And credit to them because they've always had a very good bullpen, even last year when they were in last place.
Yeah. What I will say is and I'm not saying they will win, but if the Padres end up winning, I think it will be a point of Jace Tingler outmanaging Dave Roberts.
Well, we all know that.
Yeah.
We all know that.
We kind of predicted this. I think Jace Tingler, Jace Tingler like showed, the managing skills are shown in the playoffs. Jace Tingler so far is acing the playoff test. Yes. Dave Roberts historically not acing the playoff test.
This is probably the hardest one for me to predict.
Yeah. It's weird, the manager it plays a factor for sure.
I want to go Padres, but the Dodgers. It's hard to ignore the Dodgers, man. Go ahead.
I'm just sticking with my pre-regular season take. I'm saying the Dodgers are going to the World Series, and I think the Dodgers are going to win in 5. And it's going to be weird to see Dave Roberts win a Game 5 of the NLDS, because Game 5 of the NLDS in 2016 was Mattingly still around, or
yes? Yeah. No, Roberts took over in 16.
Okay, so he's done it before.
Yeah.
So I guess the Dodgers are gonna go to 5 with the Padres, and I'm taking the Dodgers in 5. It'll be another 5-game series in the National League. What do you? I see you're pondering for sure, because you.
I did. I had to raise Dodgers at the beginning of the season.
Everyone kind of wants the Padres.
Everyone wants if you're a baseball fan, we're obviously unbiased journalists, so we don't have rooting interests at all.
No
way. But if you're a baseball fan, no matter who you are, unless maybe you're a Rangers fan and you're triggered, you should be rooting for the Padres, because even if you're an in-division rival of the Padres, you probably hate the Dodgers more.
Yeah.
You probably hate the Dodgers more. There is no reason to root for the Dodgers unless you are a Dodgers fan or a Boomer Rangers fan.
Yeah. I would agree.
I'm gonna agree with you and say Dodgers in 5.
Yeah.
But I really would love to see a Marlins Padres NLCS. I think that would be phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah. This another matchup where it's not as much of a guarantee, but the winner. Actually, I wouldn't say that. I was gonna say that the winner
goes to the World Series.
I wouldn't say it's.
They may have to face the Marlins.
Yeah.
If the Marlins beat the Braves, they can beat anybody.
And I'm thinking like Padres versus Braves. It's kind of a pick'em.
Right.
And like even Dodgers, Braves.
I know the one thing that I think we learned a lot of throughout the first round of the playoffs is that records could be very deceiving when you only play 1/3 of the league.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the Central going 0-7
Yeah,
obviously
we
speaks to
have-
something that we did not know before.
We have to talk about the Central. They went 0-7.
Yeah,
And I think it's important for like awards, and I think that they've already voted on awards.
yeah,
But it's because the AL Cy Young will definitely be coming out of the Central. And Shane Bieber statistically definitely deserves that AL Cy Young.
Yeah.
The AL MVP will probably be coming out of the Central, whether it be from the Indians or the White Sox.
mm-hmm.
And the NL Cy Young
Is probably
going to come out of the Central.
It's between like what, Bauer and Darvish.
Yeah,
Throw someone else
Bauer,
in there, maybe DeGrom.
maybe DeGrom, but I think Bauer probably wins it, just because of ERA.
Yeah.
In that, and it makes you think about this year and the validity of the awards because you only faced 1/3 of the league.
And that obviously showed in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like if the Indians, the Twins may have been like an 86 win team in a 162 game setting and still won the division.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, it's weird. I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to feel about the Central. When's the last? I know the Cubs won in 2016, but when's the last time an AL Central team won
The Royals.
World Series? Oh yeah, the Royals did
Yeah.
it. Royals did it in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that ruins the point.
What was it before that though?
AL Central.
The White Sox in 05.
White Sox in 05. So
Yeah.
it had been a while.
Yeah.
The Royals.
They've won, the AL Central has won 2 World Series titles since the turn of the century.
Yeah. Yeah. And, just historically not great. The Twins are cursed.
Yeah.
I don't know
what their deal is.
I don't know what to say about that Central bubble, but
I mean, anyway, like
they did not have it.
I guess the only team that is not coming off a Central opponent is the Rays. Maybe that speaks to them being a better team, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But they did face an 8 seed, so I guess.
Correct.
So I mean, I think
Everyone's kind of on
there could very well be teams that just play completely differently in this round because they're not facing a Central team.
Yeah, very possibly.
And not only did they go 0-7, but they only won 2 games combined.
Yeah, true. Most of them got swept.
Mhm.
So their records were 2-14.
Mm-hmm.
The Central's record was 2-14 in the postseason. Wild to consider.
Yeah.
And I guess speaking of the NL Central, unfortunate news, but Bob Gibson, absolute legend for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Not just a Hall of Famer, but he's particularly legendary because of
His accolades.
his 1968 season, first of all, and then his postseason performances. 2 World Series MVPs. I mean, he is legend status. He's not just a Hall of Famer that had sustained success for a while. This guy had one of the greatest pitching seasons of all time and some of the greatest postseason performances of all time. One of the greats, and he died at the age of 84.
After a battle
three-
with cancer.
3 Hall of Famers to pass away in the past month.
4 in this year. 4 first ballot Hall of Famers in the last year. Because Al Kaline as well.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
In the last
7 months.
7 months or so, because I remember we
That was
addressed.
in April, March.
Yeah, we
That was
addressed
the very first history
show that we did. Yeah.
If there's one thing you need to know about Bob Gibson, it's that they literally lower the mound because of him.
Exactly.
They were like, this guy is too good. We need to make it more fair for everyone else.
He was the face of the lowering of the mounds.
Yes,
He was the face of the year of the pitcher, 1968.
that's right.
1.12 ERA.
1.177.
34 starts, 28 complete games, 13 shutouts. It was crazy.
Asinine. And then, I mean, that doesn't even get it as World Series.
I think lowest ERA in a qualified season in the live ball era.
Has to be.
Must be.
That's in 304 innings pitched.
Yeah. 300.
268 strikeouts. And that doesn't even get into his World Series numbers. 9 starts, 81 innings pitched, 8 complete games, one of which he went 10 innings, a 1.89 ERA, a 7-2 record.
10.2 strikeouts per 9 in the
With
60s.
With 1.9 walks per 9.
That's in the 60s.
Yeah, that's before strikeouts were even allowed.
Yeah. He was breaking the rules.
Yeah.
If you got more than a strikeout per inning, that's why Sandy Koufax retired so early. It wasn't because of his arm. He was just banned from baseball.
Yeah. I forget who had the stat, so I feel bad studying it, but I saw it on Twitter. In 1968, Bob Gibson lowered the league ERA from 309 to 299, 303 to 299 on his own.
Yeah. Wild to think about when there were like probably 10,000 innings that were pitched in a single season. I don't know. One, I guess, how about that? I'm not going to have the button ready because it doesn't seem right
Yeah.
to do that. But he's the only pitcher to register 3,000 plus innings pitched, 7 plus strikeouts per 9, and an ERA below 3. So that's where he stands. 89.2 career Baseball Reference WAR, and he did that in 17 years. It's not like he had a career of more than 20 years. 291 career ERA, 127 career ERA plus, 289 career FIP. He was unreal, and I guess it stinks to see another Hall of Famer go like that.
Yeah.
But
we tip our hats to Bob Gibson.
We do, and when a guy,
and he was such a competitor too.
I guess when a guy dies like this, there is a silver lining because everyone gets to appreciate him for one last time and realize, what he meant to the game of baseball. Which
and as a person too.
Yeah, as a person too. And, he meant a lot to the game of baseball for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he changed the game all by himself. He was a 2-time World Series champion, a 2-time World Series MVP, a regular season MVP, a 2-time Cy Young Award winner, a 9-time All-Star, a 9-time Gold Glove winner, and of course an ERA title in 1968.
Yeah, and
250 career wins.
Yeah, 250 career wins in just 17 years, a 591 career win-loss percentage, 591 winning percentage out of his decisions. 3,000 strikeouts in a time where strikeouts were not very big.
No.
And yeah, Bob Gibson, shout out to Bob Gibson, unbelievable pitcher. And I guess that's where the episode comes to a halt. We hope you enjoyed the wild card
series recap,
and the LDS preview. If you want to follow us on social media, follow me at Chris_Gianta on Twitter. Follow Daniel on Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran, and also follow the show Instagram at STBNL podcast, where we recently posted about we've been doing this for over a year now.
Wow.
Pretty crazy. Who would have thought?
Not me.
not me. 1 year of the show to be named later. I still don't know if we ever went over the air in that first episode.
I don't either.
I don't really know. Who knows?
The best is the show where you actually played music for the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, I had no idea what to do with the controls.
We still don't.
We still don't, and I don't know if we'll ever get back in that radio stations. They say they're planning to, but
and even then, like I like being a podcast. I like not having time constraints.
Absolutely.
We would have definitely gone over it today.
Yeah, this was about an hour and a half today. So yeah, look how far we've come.
How about it?
In 61 episodes and over a year of baseball broadcasting. So we hope you enjoyed our wild card recap and LDS preview, and we hope to see you for our LDS recap and our LCS preview. So see you then.